Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. I am here with my broker, Larry. As you all know, I'm Leanne Collymore, South Florida real estate agent. And I'm here with my lovely, again, broker, Larry. Now, we're here to give you guys some information. We had a meeting last week, and it kind of sparked some things for me because I got some really good information. And Larry is the bomb. Y'all gonna hear in just a second because he got all the information and he knows about everything. Okay. And so we're gonna talk about how we need to stop waiting for rates to drop. Now, one thing I hear all the time, and Larry, I know you hear this 24/7 all the time. Everybody says, I'm waiting. I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. And last week we talked about why y'all shouldn't wait. And y'all probably wondering, well, why shouldn't I wait? Look at the economy, look at what's going on. Why shouldn't I wait? The prices are quote unquote high. I'm saying quote unquote high. Look, Larry know what I'm talking about. He about to give y'all the info, okay? The rates are quote unquote high, but we're going to talk about why you shouldn't wait for the rates to drop and why South Florida homes are still selling fast. If you have been looking for a home, I know you've probably seen a home and the next thing you realize the home is gone. So while you waiting, other people not waiting. So,
Yeah.
Larry, please give us a little bit. I'm saying a little bit of information. I know you about to drop some bombs on here, okay? But let us know a little bit about why rates aren't dropping anytime soon.
Okay. So thank you, Leanne, for inviting me on here today to kind of talk about this because this is something I hear on a day to day, not just from consumers, but from agents as well. They have customers that are waiting on the sideline and just kind of sitting there waiting to see
Yeah.
what happens tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a conversation with one of our colleagues, George.
Mm-hmm.
He's another agent with us, and he was saying that the best time to buy a house was 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when people hear that, they're like, "Oh, well, I didn't buy a house 5 years ago, so how does that impact me now?"
Right.
Well, it's the second part of that.
Right.
In 5 years, you're gonna say the best time to buy a house was five
Was
years ago,
5 years ago.
right? So you don't want to be in that camp.
Mhm.
So everybody hears that saying that buy the house, date the rate,
Right.
right? And but they never really get an explanation as to
Mm-hmm.
what that really means and
Right.
how that really affects them.
Mm-hmm.
So let me break that down for you.
Mm-hmm.
What they mean when they say that is very simply that the rate can always be changed through refinancing.
Right.
Rates get better, refinance the house. The one thing that can't be changed is
Mm-hmm.
how much you paid for it.
Right.
So right now we're in a situation where sellers are being negotiable.
Right.
You're getting deals on some of these houses. Listen, if you look at what we were last year compared to this year, right? Houses were selling for 94% of sales price last year.
Mm-hmm.
94%. You know what it is as of January of this year?
Mm.
90% of sales price. So they're listing them, but they're being more negotiable. And
Right.
and the facts and statistics already prove that. So the rate, although it matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's held there forever. You could
Right.
always change it if you refinance the property.
Right. Right.
And it doesn't mean that you have to stretch it out. It doesn't. You can
Mm-hmm.
just refinance it and say, okay, I want this better rate, and that's all it is. Whereas the price, what you pay for something is what you pay for. That doesn't change
Right.
at all right?
Right.
So if I pay, let's say, 500,000 for a house, I'm going to pay 500,000 for the house. But
Right.
if I can get it for essentially 9 to 10% less on average, then shoot, I'd rather pay less for it and then refinance the rate when the rates get better. So there's no real reason for you to wait.
Right.
Now, so when is the best time to buy a house? Because that's the question I get more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when it's the best time to buy a house? The answer is simply when you can
When
afford
you're
it.
ready. I know that's
That's it. That's the whole answer. Can you
right.
afford the house you're looking at buying? Yes.
Right.
Great. Buy it.
Right. Right. And it was interesting. My mom actually purchased a home back in
Hmm.
2019.
Right.
And when I heard Ernesto say that homes purchased back in 2019 have equity at about almost $400,000. I was like, that's true. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
no, I know that to be true. I mean, not that he would say anything that's not true, but you always hear people say, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait. And the unfortunate thing about it is, 10 years ago, they said they were going to wait. And then just like you said, we could see, let's say from 10 years before 2019. So let's say, I mean, 5 years before 2019. So 2014,
Right.
I'm going to wait. Then 2019, oh, the prices. And then now 2025. It's like, listen, the same thing is pretty much going to keep happening. You might as well go ahead and do what you need to do now. And what I learned was that the rates are fluctuating anyway. So get it now and then refinance later. I mean, that's what you can do.
Yeah. Listen, and you can't put your dreams on hold just because you're waiting for the best deal. You're not going to
Yeah.
time the market correctly.
Yeah.
Uh, I look at data and I look at all these sales on a day-to-day basis, and I don't even time the market correctly.
Yeah.
And they would say that I'm what they call a real estate expert, right?
I was about to
I
say, how
don't
many
believe
years
that.
of
I don't
experience you
believe
have,
that,
Larry?
but
How many years has it been?
uh more than 20.
Right. So if he's saying I'm not even timing it right, Larry knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, look, we do the best that we can, right?
Right.
And we are dealt the cards that we're dealt and the
Mhm.
situations that we're in, right?
Yeah.
It may not be the best time for everybody, right?
Right.
Because you might not be able to afford it, and trying
Right.
to squeeze into something where it's just not a healthy situation.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. What
Right.
we're talking about in and who we're talking to is the people that can actually afford it,
Right.
but are waiting for something bigger to
Better.
happen.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
The problem with that is you're always going to be waiting for something to happen.
Mhm. Mhm.
At the beginning of COVID, and I say this in a lot of my interviews, in the beginning of COVID, I made a prediction. I said South Florida is one of the hottest markets
Mhm.
in the country.
Yeah.
When you look at how other hot markets in the past have reacted, one of the best examples is San Francisco, California.
Mhm.
If you talk to people that have lived in San Francisco for their entire life, the thing that they would say is before Hewlett Packard moved in and it became like the tech capital of the world,
Mhm.
I should have bought more property.
Yeah.
To the point now where it's so unaffordable,
Yeah.
right? But if I had bought it back then,
Yeah.
I would be in such a different position. Well,
Right.
you want another opportunity? Here it
Right.
is. South Florida is the opportunity. And that's where we're at right now
Yeah.
is you have to make the decision if you're going to say, "Man, I missed the boat 5 years from now," or "I took advantage of that opportunity."
Yeah.
Not waiting, not standing on the sidelines. And
Yeah.
that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Even here in Riviera Beach, um, what's happening is they're building around in this area.
Mhm.
And only about 15% of the residents here in Riviera Beach actually own their homes. And so, a lot of people were looking at the area as it were before, and they say, no, I don't want to buy there. But it's cheaper right now for right now.
Mhm.
And so I had somebody tell me, he said, I've been telling, this is another agent, he says, I've been telling people to buy property in this city for the past 5, 6 years.
Mhm.
Now you're starting to see an increase. And now they're starting to tell me, dang, I should have bought back then. You still have a chance to buy now. It's just, are you ready? And are you willing to just do what it takes to get what it is that you need to get? Because you don't want to look 10, 20 years down the line and then you say, oh man, I should have bought.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's one thing I learned. You can always wait. What was it that you told me? You told me it could either be one day or
Day
something like
one.
day one. There it is, y'all.
So
Larry
I got
comes
another
with
one for
a lot
you.
of wisdom.
It
Oh, what
was
you
it
got?
was a quote. It was a quote I posted on my Instagram, right?
Mhm,
And if you don't follow me, you can follow me, Larry Singh RE, at Instagram. But the quote was what I posted yesterday. They
mhm,
said, if you want to, if you don't want to pay the price of sacrifice,
mhm.
um, Wait until you get the bill from regret.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Hold on, that's a good one. Tell them your Instagram again, Larry. What is it, Larry? What?
It's Larry Singh RE. It's at Larry Singh RE. And that's across all platforms.
I'm putting it. I'm putting it in here. I just put it in the chat. At Larry Singh RE. Y'all need to go follow Larry. Larry, another thing. This was a crazy one for me. Um Ernesto brought up a fact about there being more families being created than there are homes.
Yeah.
This I was like, this kind of I don't want to say like blew my mind, but I was like, wait, I didn't know this. There's so many families being created and there's actually not enough homes. Now, here in West Palm Beach, here in Palm Beach
Hmm.
County, I should say, every month you're seeing something new going up, whether it's a
Right.
house, whether it's a new development, whether it's a new apartment complex. And when you don't have the knowledge, it makes you say, why are they building all of these homes? There's not enough people to come and take these homes. There's not enough people to come and fill up these houses. But I remember something that you said. You said the amount of time that it would take for these developers, for these builders to build the amount of houses that's actually needed, there's not even enough time for them to do it like within a year.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
would be absolutely impossible. And even if somehow, some way they found the amount of time to do it, there's not even enough inventory to build what it is that they would need to build. And so I just
Yeah.
want you to explain a little bit to the people about how the demand in Florida is still crazy high.
Yeah. So I'll show you. I'll give you a little bit of the statistics on this, but it's exactly what you said.
Mhm.
The demand in Florida continues to persist because we still see in Palm Beach County, right? We're just going to
Right,
take Palm Beach County single family homes and townhouses.
right.
The the amount of sales year to date from January of 2024 to January
Mhm.
of 2025 has gone up,
Yeah.
right? So it went up 1.3% year
Mhm.
over year. So what does that mean? It still shows you that while people are saying, yes, there's more months of supply, more inventory, you still sold more homes than you sold last year.
Right,
So they're still moving.
right.
Now, you have other factors that go into it. You have like condos and stuff like that, where they're going
Right,
through
right,
a reform and different things that are happening in that aspect of it. However, stuff is still moving. If
yeah,
you have a good product, people are going to buy it, and that's what it comes down to. Now, eh, I mean, for us as realtors, we have a lot more due diligence to do, right? We have to make sure that we price it correctly and a lot more aspects on that. It may take longer for it to sell, but they're still selling, and they're still selling on a day-to-day basis.
like
It's
how
not like we have all this stuff that's just not moving. It's
right,
just not happening, right? We're still selling more than we sold the year prior. Now there's more stuff coming online, which is good for us because we have the demand that's there, and
right.
it's cooling the the amount of people that aren't getting help, right?
Yeah,
So if we have all this demand that's so high, we're now filling in the inventory so we can help more and more people realize their goals of having home ownership. Like you said, there's so many people that we still can help
yeah.
in there. Um, New listings that came on the market, this is gonna blow your mind. In
Mm,
January 2024,
mm,
the new listings that came on the market were 2,100, give or take, right?
mm, mhm,
The new listings that came on the market for January of 2025 is 2,039. It actually went down for single family homes. It went
mm,
down 3.9%.
mhm.
Now, why are people saying that the housing market's cooling and all you're hearing all that? Because when they say that, they're looking at it from a national perspective, not from a localized perspective.
Mhm.
There's still so many people influxing into uh, South Florida on a
Yes,
day-to-day basis. We still need the properties to actually accommodate
accommodate.
all the people that are
Yeah,
moving here.
yeah. I was gonna say one thing that I thought was cool was how I can't remember what the state is, but like people from Minnesota or somewhere are coming to some city here. Like I don't know if it was like St. Pete or Fort
Mm-hmm.
something more north, but they're coming down here because the prices that they're getting here, I think was better or something like that. So people are literally coming here to Florida. And
Yeah.
I think when you live, obviously, when you live somewhere, you're living your life. You're not paying attention to things like that. But there are so many people coming here to Florida, out of state buyers, retirees, investors. They're coming here because they see what's happening here in South Florida and
Mm-hmm.
they want to be a part of it. They don't want to miss what's going on. Well, while some of us live here, and I'm talking obviously to the residents of the state of Florida, while some of us live here and we're not paying attention to what's going on, there are people even outside of the state that are looking at what's happening here, looking at the stats,
Right.
looking at what's going on, and they're like, hold on now.
Absolutely.
I forget what y'all got going on. I got to get down to Florida so I can get some of this money.
Well, think about it like this. Okay. The average sales price in January of 2024 was
Mm-hmm.
$527,628.
Mm-hmm.
That was the average sales price.
Mm-hmm.
Today, well, in January of 2025,
Mm-hmm.
the average sales price went up 20%
Mm-hmm.
to 635,713. So you still have that price
Yeah.
appreciation year over year
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
into the double digits, right?
Yeah.
So it's multiple double digits. You're 20% higher than you were last year.
Right.
And that's just Palm Beach County.
Right. Yeah. And
So,
and I think the biggest thing is that people need to understand it's about education, and it's about, and I want to actually rephrase that. Yes, it's about education, but it's about where you're getting your information from as well. Because it was something that you brought up and I was like, "Whoa, hold on." There was oh my goodness, I think it was mortgage rates. Oh, yes, or how people are paying their mortgages. And
mhm,
it was an increase in 30-day lates. So there was somebody saying that, oh, the market's going to crash and people are going to start losing their homes, et cetera, because they're not paying on time. The current homeowners are not paying on time, which would then lead to people losing their houses, foreclosures, et cetera. It gives you the big picture of what's happening in
right.
the US. But the thing is, when it got to the 90 days, it dropped dramatically because,
Yeah.
yes, they might have been 30 days late, but by the time it got to the 90-day, they were caught up.
Yep.
And so they're pushing the narrative that, oh, the economy is going to crash and this is going to happen because look at this, only this piece, only this little piece. But when you take in the whole picture, that's why I say be careful where you get your information from. Because when you look at the whole picture now, no, they catching up. They're like, I'm not losing my house, honey.
Yeah. Well, it's and here's the problem, right? When you don't talk to an expert, right, in the field,
Mhm,
like we are, right?
mhm,
In that localized market,
mhm.
when you don't really talk about that stuff,
Yeah,
you run the risk of really looking at segmented data. So what do I mean by that? You're taking these little snapshots that provide data to move the narrative of what whoever's saying it wants to say. You're
yeah,
not looking at the total picture.
yeah.
Or if you are, you're looking at it on a national scale. The
Right.
things that are happening in South Florida are not
I'm
happening
not.
in
Yeah,
other places,
yeah,
right? They could be, and there could be similarities to it, but it's not going to be the same.
yeah,
I learned a long time ago real estate is very local in nature. What do
yeah,
I mean by that? It means that things that are happening happen around a local community,
yeah,
right? And it happens in that locale
mhm,
that is very specific.
yeah,
Just like if you want to go and buy a house, you're going to say, okay, I like this area, I like this area, I
mhm,
don't like this, I like this. And you're going to make the decision as to where that stuff is going to go,
yeah,
right? And it's very simple like that. But people tend to look at the headlines of stuff
mhm.
and they don't ask the question, well, that what I'm seeing in my
Right,
local area? And a
right.
lot of the times it's no.
Right. Right. Is that what
So,
I'm seeing, and does that affect me? Is that what I'm gonna experience? Because they think that that's their story, and it's really not. I don't know how
right.
many times I've had this conversation. People always ask me, um, is it good to buy now? And I'm like, can you buy now? If you can buy now, just buy now. Look, do
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta do later. Get the house. It's at the end of the day, yes, you're looking at the big lump sum that you're gonna be putting down, but at the end of the day, you're still saving money. If you're paying $2,000 a month in rent, you're paying $24,000. Wait, am I tripping? Yeah, you're paying $24,000 for the year.
yeah.
And
I don't know where you're paying $2,000 a month in rent, but
listen,
sure.
listen.
Look, listen, if you could find
I
it, great. Yeah.
Look, I was about to say, and it's really higher than that. I just didn't feel like doing that math in my head. Some of y'all spending $24,000, $36,000, $48,000 a year in something that's not even
Yeah.
yours. And just because you don't see the possibility, like my whole thing is this: you need somebody to show you that what you want to accomplish is possible. I've seen a lot of people be told no. I've seen a lot of people experience people shutting them down because of the surface level of what they're looking at. But one thing that I've learned is that when you give people the resources and the tools and the information that they need, I've seen people pull miracles out of a hat. I've seen things happen just because somebody told them, yes, it's possible. And once they got that, I've seen people get houses. They went from having no money to having $20,000 prepared and ready to do what they through coming through the proper channels, sourced properly, ready to do what it is that they need to do. There are people out there that are ready. It's just, they getting shut down by.
Listen, and it goes with the team that you have around you, right?
Yeah.
So, we have, I like to consider them some of the best lenders that in the business that work with whoever we give them and do what needs to be done to kind of get them to where they want to go, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's telling them the hard no, right now you
Right.
can't, but we can take these steps in
Yes.
6 months, 12 months, 18 months,
Right.
you'll be ready. But that
Yeah.
goes back to the question, are you ready right now?
Right.
And that's a real conversation that you have to have with yourself is,
Yeah.
are you ready? Are you taking the steps now to get where you want to go tomorrow?
Yep.
So
Yep.
so that's really what it comes down to is, the best time to buy is when you can afford it.
Yep. Yep. Larry,
And
what's
don't
some
get hung up
advice?
on
Go
the
ahead.
things that aren't as important or
Mhm.
that do change.
Yeah.
Focus on the stuff that's fixed, right? Like
Yeah.
the price of the house. Because I'm going to tell you right now, in 2020, when everybody was like, man, I should have bought a house in 2020. Do you know what buyers had to go through in 2020 to buy a house? There were
Hmm.
36 offers on houses. You were getting turned down left and right. People were getting upset that they put in 12 offers and couldn't get anything,
Wow.
right? So every market has their challenges.
Right.
You just have to figure out which challenge you're willing
Yeah.
to fight. That's all.
Yeah. And I was about to tell you to give the people some advice, but I think you just did. Pick which battle you want to choose, but
Yeah.
be properly informed. I think
Yes.
that's the biggest thing. Be properly informed. Things can happen. Just get all the information first. I was speaking to a young lady and she was telling me, she didn't find what she was looking for, but she was ready to purchase and she just didn't. And I was like, that wasn't. I was like, what? I was like, did you have any help? She's like, no, not really. I said, girl. I said, look, you probably want to rent right now. Okay. I know you want to buy later, but I still want you to talk to me and let's plan. Even it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's not right now. Let's plan for the next year. Let's plan for the next year and a half and see what it is we need to do from now with help. You don't have to do it by yourself, with proper help to get you where it is that you need to go and want to go.
Right, and that's what a good professional will do, right?
Yeah.
Is help you achieve the goals that you want. It's just not yesing you to death. It's really putting a plan together to get you where you want to be.
Right.
Listen, I've met realtors from around the country, and I might be a little biased because I'm down here, but Florida realtors are specifically South Florida realtors, you know, are probably some of the best realtors that I know because they actually do so much to help their clients
Yeah.
achieve home ownership. Remember, that's a dream for a lot of people is to have
Yeah.
home ownership. And
Yeah.
and to be able to achieve that is such a fulfilling
Yeah.
goal. So
Yeah.
that's where I am with that.
Listen, y'all, I want you to share this. I want you to send it to somebody. Larry, you're the bomb. I tell you that all the time in private, but I'm going to tell you in public.
Thank you so much.
Larry, you're the bomb. Listen, again, I want y'all to share this. I want you to contact us. This is Canvas Real Estate Boca. Contact me, Leanne Collymore. Y'all will see my information down below. Y'all got Larry's Instagram. This is my mentor. This is the guy who's teaching me what I need to know. So listen, you all have backing if you want to purchase, whether purchase, rent, whatever it is, commercial, what have you. Okay. Those of you that have seen the Diplomat Center, this was acquired. Listen, I want to help you all. Just tell me what it is that you want to accomplish, and we will set out a track and set out a plan to get you there. Larry, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
See y'all later. Bye.